Bears quarterback Caleb Williams joined the St. Brown Brothers podcast with Amon-Ra and EQ to talk about a variety of topics for about an hour. Go check it out. Really good listen. But one thing in particular I really want to dive into is the thoughts he gave on what he wants in the next Bears head coach. Some traits he's looking for, what style of coach. We're going to dive into that, plus a couple other nuggets on the coaching search toward the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Do you believe in Caleb Williams? Are you all in on him as QB1? Hit that thumbs up icon if you are. Show some support for number 18. Let's dive into today's show. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. So like I said, Caleb hopped on St. Brown Bros pod on YouTube. Go check it out. And I mostly want to talk about the comments he made about the head coach. There's plenty of other topics, such as it's pretty clear he would like to bring Keenan Allen back, so we'll see what ends up happening there. But let's get into this kind of quote by quote. We'll kind of break it up a little bit. He said he wants someone who's strong-minded, a leader of men. I think that is a cool thing about what y'all got over there in Detroit, obviously talking to Amon-Ra. Selfishly, I want an offensive-minded guy so I can build with him and be with that coach for the next 19, 17, 15 years, and so I can learn and grow and things like that from him. And what has he seen? What has he gone through with maybe other quarterbacks that he's been around? But if we get an overall grand scheme coach and is good with time management, good with clock, aka not Matt Eberflus, good with helping control the game, just because it's a big factor, obviously. So I think what he's saying is, look, like, I'll get behind whatever, but I'd like to have an offensive guy. And I think what's just doesn't get discussed with all this stuff, it doesn't have to be one or the other. I've said this all along, the leader of men thing, and obviously, like, players are saying it too. Like, every head coach in this league, when you hire them, you should feel like they're a strong leader of men. Now, that doesn't mean they have to be Dan Campbell, bite kneecaps off type. You can be a strong leader in different ways, but I do think it's been clear listening to these players, like, they need a better culture setter from the top, regardless of what their style is. But you can also get that with a guy who's an offensive guy who understands the X's and O's and can get Caleb's development on track and where it needs to be. Like, you can get both. Now, you have to be able to identify that. Can Ben Johnson be that? Well, I've seen a guy who's been pretty fiery on the sideline who seems to have a good energy about him. More on Ben Johnson in a minute. But to act like you can't have both, like it's one or the other, I've just never really understood. All right, more from Caleb here. Quote, someone who can help find the right guys to win championships. I mean, that's the only goal I have for my NFL career is to go win a championship, and championships start with one. And just a dude that's got a fire to him. I don't want people that don't have a fire to them. I got a certain fire about me that certain people can't coach or may not want to be around. So if it's Ben, because Ben Johnson had been brought up by Amon-Ra, if it's not, then it is what it is. I think it's pretty clear he wants Ben Johnson. I think that's definitely clear, and I think that's noteworthy. And you know, he told us at the end of the season in his exit press conference that he would like, or that he, you know, would watch the Lions offense closely when they were playing Detroit. I think the formula is pretty simple when it comes to this Bears coaching search. Find someone with a vision, what he wants to do, how he wants to play, and then get players to match that vision, right? Like, I think Detroit's done a really good job of that. Dan Campbell is the head coach. Ben Johnson is the OC. Aaron Glenn is the DC. They have found players who meet the culture and the style of football they want to play. That's very, very clear. And if Ben Johnson can be that guy to help Caleb grow, but also can work with Ryan Poles and be like, hey, these are the type of players that I can make go in my offense that I want to do, get a physical running back to pair with DeAndre Swift, get some pieces on this offensive line to make this offense work. That's ideally what you want. That's why I would like, if you do get Ben Johnson, for him to have some say in player personnel and to work with Ryan, assuming he's the GM, with those decisions. And why wouldn't Caleb Williams want Ben Johnson? Like, why would he not want that? He's not stupid. This has been the number 2 EPA offense over the last 3 years, top 5 in every category for about 3 years. And by the way, everybody's like, well, they have all the tools. They have this, they have that. Well, yeah, Now they're completely loaded, but the first year they were top 5 and everything, they were still building the personnel. They were still building the roster. Like, it wasn't what it is now. So I think what Ben Johnson has done with Jared Goff, his willingness to run the football, which I really like. I think this Bears rushing attack has got to get so much better. It was putrid this year. You've got to get a better running game with this offense, someone to pair with DeAndre Swift, better guys who can block up front and open up running lanes. And Ben Johnson, a guy who clearly knows how to run scheme as well. I think that's all very, very important for this offense this next year. Now, the timeline for Ben Johnson, which we discussed yesterday, is as follows. If Detroit wins on I think they actually play Saturday, so typo on my part. They can't talk until at least Monday, January 27th. That's just how it works. If they lose, you could talk to him as early as Monday, January 20th, and if he ends up being your guy, you could fast track. You could have him hired next week. So if you really want him and want to get him here as soon as possible, you actually should be cheering for Washington to win on this weekend. So keep that in mind. But if Detroit wins, and most of us believe they will, you're going to have to be patient. You need to wait this out if you are the Chicago Bears. Like, you got to be patient here. I know Mike McCarthy's in the building today. We'll talk about that. And Mike's a good coach, and I would like Mike. I'd be cool with McCarthy here. I know not as many people feel as strongly as I do about McCarthy, but I have consistently said you wait for Ben Johnson unless you've gotten word or indication from him and his camp. I guess in this case it would be his camp because you can't talk to him, that he's not interested. As long as he's interested and you're firmly in the mix, you wait that out because I think he's worth waiting for. If you are all in on Ben Johnson, Johnson or bust, type me down in the comment section below. Caleb wants him. It seems like the Bears would like to get him. I hope they do. We'll have to wait and see, but type me if that's what you want. All right, some more updates to come, including a couple interviews set to take place today. Not just Mike McCarthy. One that's probably happening right now is in place, so stay tuned for that. But PrizePicks is today's sponsor, and we appreciate them for sponsoring today's show. Daily Fantasy made easy at PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you sign up and play for just $5. I had the worst season-long fantasy year of my life in my season-long league outside of PrizePicks. That's why PrizePicks is awesome, because new players, new lineups every single day, try new teams, and it's just fun. It's just fun. You just pick more or less. Fun, easy, simple, variety, different stats that you can choose from, like passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards, points in basketball, goals in soccer, all kinds of stuff. I got a little two-player entry here for this weekend. Derrick Henry to find the end zone, little goblin pick, easier to hit there. He scores a lot of touchdowns. And Travis Kelce, playoff Kelce, 52.5 receiving yards. Yeah, I will, 53.5. I'll take the more on that. Pair those together, win some money. Right now, you can win up to 1,000 times your entry on certain lineups. Yes, turn $10 into $10,000 at PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get started today and to get a $50 bonus when you play for just $5. Pick more, pick less. It is PrizePicks. Excuse me. Okay. Today's interviews. Arthur Smith this morning, Mike McCarthy this afternoon, potentially into the evening. I think Sylvie put out there they're going to have dinner with Mike, so we'll talk about that in a second. Arthur Smith better not be a serious candidate. I get he's been a former head coach, offensive guy, like that does check boxes, but he wasn't a good head coach, and his offense in recent years hasn't been very good. The problem with Arthur Smith is when you give him everything, his offense is pretty good. Now, obviously, we want the Bears to have everything. Awesome offensive line. You want all these things, and Ben Johnson has a lot of that, and he's done really well. The problem is when you don't have everything, his offense kind of sucks. So, like, I want to coach, and look, we'll see what Ben Johnson's offense will look like with less to work with at first. But again, in 2022, he didn't have as much as he does now in Detroit, and it was still a top 5 unit. Arthur Smith needs an awesome offensive line and a dominant running game for his offense to work. If he doesn't have that, not only does it not work, it's pretty bad. Like, if you watch the Steelers down the stretch against good teams, it was tough to watch. So I'm just not that interested in him as a candidate. As far as McCarthy goes, I think it's pretty clear at this point. This is real. He's a real candidate. The fact that they're bringing him in person, he's basically skipping step 1, which is a virtual interview. Like, they're jumping into step 2 with him. Now, doesn't mean he's going to be the head coach, doesn't mean he's the favorite, but if you want to call him a finalist, I think that's fair to say. Now, if he bombs today, then he wouldn't be a finalist, but guy's experienced. I would doubt he would bomb some sort of interview with the Bears here. We've talked about the resume. I get he hasn't had a ton of recent playoff success, but I saw a tweet this morning that said Bears fans be like, yeah, we'll go 9-8 every year with McCarthy. Let's bring him on board. First of all, he's literally never gone 9-8 in his career. He went 12-5 3 years in a row before this season. Like, I don't understand this thought that Mike McCarthy is a bad football coach. He's won a lot. 61% of his games as a head coach, he has won. If you're over 60%, that is a very good number. This is a tough league. 8 division titles, 4 conference title games, a Super Bowl championship. Yes, I know it was a while ago. And Bears fans are like, well, he hasn't had playoff success recently. Well, he's been to the playoffs a lot. The Bears can't sniff the playoffs. So I'm not saying he's my top guy. It's still Ben Johnson. But if it ends up with Mike McCarthy, I'm not going to be pissed about it. Now, if they don't wait out Johnson and hire McCarthy, I would not like that. I think they should wait out Ben. But if it ends up, when it's all said and done, that Mike McCarthy's the Bears head coach, I am not going to bitch about it unless they just push Ben to the side. I would not be a fan of that. Something to remember, too. Who's the quarterback Caleb Williams, growing up, looked up to and idoled in terms of playing on the field? I don't have any idea what he thinks about Aaron Rodgers off the field, but it was Aaron Rodgers. Who was Aaron Rodgers' head coach and got him off the ground and helped develop him and won with early on in his career for several years? Oh, that would be Mike McCarthy. I know it was an ugly split at the end, but Aaron Rodgers, after a while, I think he's kind of just difficult to deal with. And by the way, Mike McCarthy goes to Dallas, has 3 straight 12-win seasons. It'd be one thing if he had a second shot and he just sucked. No, like, they came up short in the playoffs, but he had some good years with the Cowboys. And I think it's pretty clear as this breakup with Dallas happened, I think Dallas wanted to bring him back, but on their own terms. And Mike said, no, I'm going to flex my muscle a bit and see what else is out there, try and get another gig. And I think he's pretty confident he's going to get one, whether it's with the Bears, the Saints, or someone else. So something to note there with the Rodgers connection, someone who obviously watched Aaron Rodgers a lot growing up, which is Caleb Williams. Okay, how would you grade a Mike McCarthy hire? A, B, C, D, or F? Be like a B+ to me. I think it'd be a very safe, very solid hire. Would I bet on him to win a Super Bowl here? Probably not, because you know head coaches won a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. But would I bet on any coach to win a Super Bowl here? Only 1 out of 32 win it every year. Like, the odds are working against you. So I don't think like that's like, well, you can't hire him then. Like, I want Ben Johnson. I really would like to see him be the head coach. He's my top guy. I still wouldn't bet on him winning a Super Bowl here because it's really fucking hard to win a Super Bowl. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's be competitive. And hey, if McCarthy's the head coach for 5 years, you're in the playoffs 3 or 4 times, and you can't break through, okay, we could talk then about, hey, okay, maybe the next step, let's get a guy who we think can get to the next level if he's not getting it done. Can we get to the playoffs first? Because last time I checked, the Bears have been nowhere close. All right, that's going to do it for Chicago Bears. Now, eventually, my voice is going to fully work again. I don't know when. We will be back later today. Probably more updates on the coaching search. We'll see if we get any nuggets from the McCarthy interview. As soon as we do, we will pass those along. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down.